Good morning, everyone. Welcome to I was going to say our first webinar of the year. I think we've done one more besides this, but it's already March, almost end of Q1. Busy season is coming. It was time. And I see some familiar faces here in the chat. I'm so excited you all could take the time to join us this morning. My name is Sancha. If you've been on these calls before, I might be a familiar face. I'm the head of go-to-market here, have a pretty long history in construction technology. And it's really fun to be a part of the XBuild team, just with everything we've got going on, which we are going to talk about today. And then I have John here, who is a bit more of a household name than I am. But yeah, definitely contractor experience, American Contractor Show. And yeah, can you hear us? Can you give us a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear us okay? Um, Say hello. And just a little bit of housekeeping before we dive in. John, you know what I might get you to do if you're not talking, I might get you to mute. There's just a little bit of background noise, but that's okay. Um, if you awesome, awesome. Okay, so very quickly, if you are unfamiliar with this platform, we are going to dive into some things with you. We're going to talk today about what is new in XBuild, which, if you've been getting our emails, you know has been a lot, especially since December. We've got some cool things to share. We're going to talk about some of those best practices for standardizing your sales team and process going into this busy season, from a business standpoint, and also then where XBuild can be injected to help with these pieces. And then John's going to actually dive into some of the features and functions that can help with this. So getting your XBuild account optimized to be able to activate these things in your process. Because yes, AI can do some. AI still requires your expertise. We always talk about AI powered contractor and control. That is what we are doing here. We're going to give you a little sneak peek into what's coming. We can't tell everything, obviously, but we can share what we can. And then if we have time, we'll do a little Q&A. So if you have questions, please pop them in the questions tab at the bottom, so they don't get lost. Um, and yes, we would just feel free to chime in. If you are at a place where maybe something comes up and you would like more help with it, again, drop that in the questions box. We will have our customer support team take care of you. But I would say we can just dive in here, John, and we can talk about a couple of new things that
Cool, cool.
should have showed up
Yeah,
in your inbox. And if not, it means you might be unsubscribed. And if that's the case, let me know and I can get you back on there so you can make sure you get the updates. But
cool.
let's do
Well,
it.
good to see you guys today. And this one's going to be fun because we have been releasing a lot of things over the last couple months. And this is the one that I've been like really anticipating. Okay, there's a lot of all this stuff I've been anticipating, but this piece I feel is the last missing link that really makes this platform kind of really special. And so I'm really excited to introduce you guys to the new dashboard. This has been a work in progress in a lot of iterations around what we wanted this to be, but I'll just kind of share with you guys just real quick. There's a new dashboard. So when you log into your XBuild account, you're going to see this. Now, granted, this is in dark mode. This is all based on your computer settings. So if your computer is set to dark mode or whatever, if it's set to light mode, then it'll switch over to light mode. And I'll show you guys live what that looks like and how you can see those in both instances. But this is our
Our
new
team likes
UI.
dark mode. Our team
We
is like
all love
almost
dark mode.
100% in dark.
Yeah, it looks
Can you
so
tell our
much better.
branding?
So, but it's a whole new experience in how XBuild is perceived. And the biggest reason for this was that we've kind of expanded into a lot of different opportunities in a lot of different trades, and with the new retail proposals in the way that you can now create pretty much proposals on anything besides just an Xactimate output. We wanted to expand this out and make the UI fit the new experience as well. Now, all the old stuff still exists. You can still generate Xactimates the old way, and you can see how that kind of works. But we'll kind of go through it, and I'll show you guys that. But this has been a big change. But because people are using this now to actually create estimates in the field and have to now track jobs and different things that are involved, this is the biggest reason we made this change. So you're going to see down below that you're going to have this new leaderboard here, sales board, that's going to show you your pipeline for your company, what's going on, and you'll be able to get deeper into that and see individual reps, individual people within your company. And then there's some more stuff coming to this, but this is the first version of it where you'll be able to at least be able to visually understand your pipeline and what proposals you've sent out, if they've been seen, and be able to understand if they've closed, how much revenue they've generated, and all that kind of stuff, so that you have a really good idea of what is going on with your sales team or with your own sales, specifically like your customers, and understand what if they've actually been around the platform. So we're going to talk about this, and I might just go ahead and share my my actual screen here, and I'll go right into the UI and show you guys kind of some of the on this. So by the way, this is the actual UI here. So this is our demo, my demo account, but you can see all of the different things that are going on. This is a live version of that, and actually understand what's going on. And you can actually see all of your reps and understand how they're doing on an individual basis now. So you can filter out and be like, hey, like what's John doing? Well, John's not doing much. He's doing a lot of drafts and sending a few things, but those proposals haven't been sent yet or seen yet. Or I could see, hey, like, whoever it is that you want to see, you can see all of them. See, I think Mark's been putting out a bunch of proposals lately. So let's pull Mark up here. He's not even in here. Never mind. So, but this is a good overview of what's going on. Now, one of the things too is this is for retail, and you can click over to claims and actually see your insurance pipeline as well. So all of the claims that you've done for insurance are here, as well as retail. So nothing has changed really beyond this, other than we've built this entire new thing. But your entry point is different too now. You have these options up here. You have an insurance claim proposal. Some of you, I don't know if everyone has a PDF, but I think everyone should have it by now. But we have this PDF to Xactimate where you can drop an Xactimate, generate that into an ESX file. And then, but you've got these different options. So this is going to be your retail proposal, your insurance Xactimate proposal builder, and your PDF TSX.
And I think
So
this
it's
is
just
a
a
great
different way to
point.
come in.
Just to say too, if you had an XBuild account before the middle of December, you would have access to the legacy experience, which was a form-based estimator. It was still AI, but it required you to upload documents in these forms, submit them, send them off, and then the AI would parse them, provide the output, and send it back to you. That was much more time consuming. This, and we've talked about this in other webinars, so I'll be short, but this speeds it up drastically. And one of the painful parts about that legacy experience was that if you wanted to make a revision or an edit, you had to request it and do the process again. This process enables you to either request that change in the chat or the edit. There are a lot of manual edits available. Essentially, anything in the proposal is editable by you. Again, AI powered, you stay in control. So just to say that if you have been on the legacy experience, you'll see there that John has below, it says looking for the form-based estimator right below the chat box. You can still access it. We do want to be clear though, that this experience is more expensive because it's a consumption-based product. You pay per report. And it will be going away and it will be sunset because this experience is drastically better and much easier, not much easier, but we want to be able to devote our development team to this experience and be able to move this one forward and improve it really quickly. So putting our resources there. So just as a heads up, you can still access it and we will let you know before it goes away. But John, let's continue.
So with that being said, like the entire idea here was to create a much easier sales engine for your company. Because when we started to really like look at this and the use cases that were coming out of it, especially with organizations that have multiple sales reps, we realized that this really creates a really unique experience for you to be able to really manage your team better and understand what they're doing. And so with that, this has been, you're still able to create a process, you're still able to control how the estimates are created, but the goal was that you can empower now your sales team to be able to write estimates on the spot using the data sets that they've gotten from the actual site inspection, and then generate that into a proposal. But then you, as a sales owner or a sales manager, can then monitor that, be able to see what's going on out in the field, and get a real time update as to what's really going on, what proposals are being sent, how much of those proposals being sent for, what does the chat say. Like, you can go back and review all those and be able to real quickly understand what's going on, maybe some of the hangups. Just because, remember, like, this is now not just a proposal builder, but it's really an AI co-pilot that is going to work alongside of your reps. So if there are questions that are coming on, objectives, they might have been talking about that within the sales process. You can go back and review those chats and understand better the context of what those, how those proposals were generated to begin with. Which is one of the coolest things about AI, is that rather than it being the regular way that technology works, where you have like these templates and like these weird, things that are pretty manual. AI is looking at the photos, it's looking at the measurements, it's looking at the entire project as the sale is progressing, and then from there building different versions of those reports and being able to do this in real time, and it's creating a much more natural, contextually correct estimate that's going to hopefully keep your expected margins within range and start to break down some of this thing so that the pricing is much more accurate than what it would be otherwise, if you're using a template based solution. And so
Do
this
you
is
want to
where it
hop
really
over
gets to get
to
fun.
Do you want to just hop over just for visual sake? We won't spend a lot of time on this, but just to show kind of when we look at a tool like this, and again, I have a background of working for different sales tools in this space. And I think it's really cool to be able to look at the points in your sales funnel and your hiring process and your homeowner experience and go, yes, there are things that AI cannot replace. And our goal here is not to do that. Like, we want to really create something that comes alongside you and enables your team and enables you to grow in your business, and also for the homeowner to have a fabulous experience. Um, and so there's different places where XBuild like helps in that pipeline. I would say, John, do you want to just go to the next couple of slides here? I'll fly through these and then we'll actually go into it in the platform. But
Cool.
let's go to your like the sales process. And this is something like we're not going to dictate this to you. This is like the most streamlined, like you get a lead, you do the inspection, you need to provide a quote. Ideally you close, and then it goes on to production. Um, where XBuild comes in then, and on the next slide, this is where you can get, I mean, we talk about proof of damage for the insurance side of things sometimes, or like coming to an inspection already with a quote in hand. That really is up to you and how you've built your process. But the idea is that using XBuild, you could quote at the kitchen table, like quite literally in minutes. This is not like a just like we're just spewing stuff at you. Like, you genuinely could drop in the chat, create a roof replacement proposal for whatever. And if you already had some measurements generally, or you had a measurement report, you could be sliding those in. Photos too. If you had photos from your company cam account or a device, you could do it. You could build it. You could build it in front of the homeowner if you wanted to, or you could
While you're
step away in your
talking to
truck
the homeowner,
while
which
you're
is kind of
talking to
cool
them.
because, if you think
And
about
maybe
that, like, a
they
lot of people step aside, they spend 15, 20 minutes writing a proposal. Whereas if I'm sitting across the table with someone and I have a device in front of me, I could be like, hey, like, we're building this proposal together at that point with the homeowner. And so they're
Mhm.
able to, not have to do this awkward pause. It's like type a few prompts and let it run while you're talking to the homeowner. It's pretty
And
amazing.
learning about them, what's important to them. Like, again, it's a big purchase, and building that trust is so crucial. And then obviously, if you are building that trust and you have a presentation and a proposal that resonates with them, that is beautiful, and it's a user friendly experience for them to scroll through and make their selections, whether in front of you or virtually, that is an excellent buying experience. We're all consumers. We know how wonderful it is to have a great buying experience. It resonates. We do trust, and that does improve your close rate. Additionally, when you look at optional upgrades and being able to have those pieces, I mean, the beauty is you increase your average job size, uh, you have your margins baked in and you're profitable and you're at a higher close rate. Suddenly, those leads at the beginning of your process, the leads you need to hit your revenue goals become less and less. And that's where we get to come in and help you standardize this process because you can move quickly. Now, we're going to go into some of the practical details of what you can do in your account to further standardize this. But this is just generally how XBuild comes into play. And then going into the next one, which is growing your team. Again, if you can standardize not only just the process of selling, but also hiring and growing your team. I think one of the things, I mean, we look at onboarding people into our team here at XBuild. You have to ramp people up. You need to let them know what tools you're using. You need to let them know what the expectations are. You need to give them the language, probably have some shadowing. John, you've done this at roofing companies. I've done this at roofing
Hmm.
companies where it's that ramp up process can be weeks to get someone like where you trust them to go do an inspection, create a quote, and close that deal. And weeks maybe before they feel empowered to do the same. We get
And
to
this
like
is
speed this up
this
so quickly.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite things. So I was just at Top Rep a few weeks ago talking to some sales leaders from like really high performing companies. And it's funny because you hire someone and they may be really, really good at sales, but they don't know anything about construction. And you're like, gosh, how can we make this person more confident quicker? Well, if they have a tool like XBuild on their side that's going to do the heavy lifting for them and the stuff that they don't really know quite yet, number one, XBuild is going to educate them and give them real like knowledge of in the field based on what contextually is going on that roof. But number two, it's going to give them confidence. So that amount of time it takes for them to become all that they can be is so much shorter because they have that confidence in their pocket that they're like, hey, like I know that at the end of the day, when I'm talking to this customer, I'm not going to sound dumb because I have the context and I have this co-pilot that's working alongside of me. And that's what's really cool is you're able to really quickly understand who's actually good at sales and who may not have been that good at sales. So it kind of levels the playing field a little bit. It gives your top producers and the people that are good at sales the opportunity to be a lot faster, a lot more efficient, close more deals, make more money. And obviously, it's helpful for the entire org at that point.
And this is where what John's going to show us afterwards in terms of some of the things you can customize can play into this because right when you if you are brand new to XBuild and you get in there and you start a chat and say, you know, I need a proposal or an estimate for this, it's pulling, we refer to it as default pricing. It's our AI is pulling in market pricing. But that's not necessarily going to be your pricing. And so this is where you actually can take your, say, your margins or your process or the specifics that you have or packages or materials you use, and you can set those up as custom component packages and layouts that then when we look at this in the training and the onboarding, you already have those for the reps to use. And then really it's a matter of them having access to XBuild to say, okay, here's the measurements, here are the photos, go build based on this. Done. There you go.
Yep.
So,
It's
and
pretty
then
incredible.
continuing on because we also care about the homeowner. Um, this is where obviously, you know, we live in a bit of a B2B world. You are living in a B2C world, and we want to help that part too. And so you have the homeowner who's requesting a quote. They are making a purchase that they are not going to make many times in their lifetime, especially when it comes to some like work. Xbuild is expanding into other trades as well. But when we talk specifically about roofing or siding, or even some of these, you know, whether it's landscaping, like they're big projects, they're big expenses, and they're looking for someone they can trust. Everyone's heard horror stories. And so we want to enable you to sell well. So we've got the speed to quote piece. I think the same way we talk about speed to lead, or you might as well, the homeowner is looking for that too. They're looking for that very quick quote. They're looking to make a decision fast. They probably have this window of time where they're like, hey, I need to research this. I need to make a decision. I've been putting this off for too long. Who can get in front of me first with something that impresses me? And price point, right? That matters too. They're going to compare quotes. How do you stack up? I think having things outlined very clearly, setting those expectations is incredibly important. You can increase that close rate again by building that trust. We also are integrated with Stripe Connect. which allows you, if you activate that, you could set your account and your proposals to require a deposit at that point of sale, which we all know helps with cash flow and can be done really, really quickly. And there is an increasing number of consumers and homeowners who are wanting to pay with credit card or digitally. And so if this is something you want to offer, that's a great way to do it. And then they can sign and they can pay in the same form. So that also speeds up that process as well and sets you up for success too. And then it moves into getting the work done. And at that point, your proposal has ideally set those expectations of who you are. Maybe there's, some social proof in there, a testimonial to say like, we do good work and this is what you can expect from the project going forward when you hand it off to production. And then the homeowner doesn't feel left in the dark. And that tees up the review, which we know is that flywheel of your reputation and lead acquisition. So this is just like a very brief overview to say having a tool like XBuild injected at these different parts has the potential to optimize those conversions in your sales process, speeding up that onboarding time for new reps, and providing this quality homeowner experience that is, I mean, that's the dream for us, you, and them. So John, why don't we get into specifically in XBuild where you
Yeah.
can set some of these things up? And if you have
So
questions, again, drop them in the questions box and we'll get to them at the end as well.
so before I do that, I'm going to warn everybody. The settings page is still in light mode, so I might blind you. So just be prepared. Okay. So this is being updated though, but this is if you guys haven't gotten into the back end of your stuff, this is your actual business profile, your settings page, and this is where you can build out all the different pieces about it. One of the things that was added recently was this authorization piece on the main section. This allows you to how you want to create authorizations if there's an authorization needed in order for a job to be closed. So it could be like a pre-authorization, which means, or no authorization, signed proposals are ready to start. There's no countersigns needed. If you do need to do countersigns with your proposals, you can auto sign before the homeowner to support high velocity contractors, or you can do a final authorization. I mean, you would be countersigning those proposals after the homeowner signs, and that's how you can also approve it essentially. So that's a new feature in there when homeowners go to sign. Now let's go down. I'm going to get right into it. Now see, now we've got some dark mode stuff. So there's some things that are being built out right now. If you want to connect your Stripe account, you do this in the payment settings. So you can see all of your payments and all the different pieces that are coming in. So you can see all your payouts and how much you have in your Stripe account. That is all connected to your Stripe account, not ours. So it's just a pass through that you would link your company Stripe account to this. But let's go into some of these other pieces. Suppliers. So this is where you would connect your ABC account. If you have an ABC account already that you want to connect your exact price list to your XBuild account, this is where you would do that. You just
Again, when
connect
we
that.
think about profitability and protecting those margins, this is, if you are using ABC, this is a great way to do that.
You've got your component packages. These are where you can create custom component packages. In here, you can do this. There's also, if you're doing stuff within the chat, it'll ask you like, do you want to make this into a custom component package for the future? I've seen that happen, and it's pretty cool because it'll just build this out. But this is a place where you can actually create packages and name them whatever you want, add different pieces. You can edit these standard packages. These are the ones that come out of the box. So you can see all these different pieces and pricing. And if you want to edit it or if you want to upload a price list, you can play with all this stuff. This is a whole different, where you're able to kind of dial in your material packages. But let's go into, I'm going to go over these really quickly. So pricing and profit. So if you want to set a default margin applied to all your estimates, you can put that in there. This is a true margin, so it's not a markup necessarily. It's an actual margin cost. So it'll be 38% of the total would be your margin, which is the correct way to do that. And then you've got deposits.
Which just correct me if I'm wrong though, John, if say you were creating a proposal for a job, you could on that individual job change the margin.
You
This doesn't
could.
lock in. Yes. And
Yeah.
you could do that if you
This
needed to.
just allows you to set a company default for all
Yeah.
your reps. This is the starting number.
Yeah.
We always start at 47% margin. Cool. Here you go.
Again, the
Deposits.
standardization, and then you can customize as you need.
Yep, you can change any of this stuff, and you can also do it within the actual proposal itself. Deposits. This is if you want to require deposits. Do you want to do a fixed amount? So you want to do a percentage? Do you want to do a custom formula? So you can type these in, make these whatever you want them to be. And then this one just showed up too last week or a week before in the last couple of weeks, financing. So now you can display financing options. So if you want to show months, APRs, payment factors, you can edit these and make these what you want them to be. So if you have like a really good, strong, it can still be like a pre-approval is required. You can even put that in your layout that, hey, like make sure you notate that we still have to get a pre-approval. But if you're approved for financing, this is typically what your payments would look like. And that way
This
you can
is
show
currently
those on the
not
actual.
this is currently not a financing integration. This is you displaying this in the proposal. And we have already had requests for more options. We have heard you.
Yep.
So please know that.
And contextually when to apply those options. So, but for right now, we've given this one to start. And the big reason too, is a lot of the financing, there's so many financing options out there. I know you guys like to offer different stuff to different people or different, you may have, there's a million different finance providers out there. The biggest thing is how do we display a price with a financing option within that? And this is how you're able to do that. So, all right, let's go into the fun part. This is my favorite piece of all of XBuild because this is where the secret sauce that you guys get to build these things out and really like set yourself apart because these are all your proposal layouts. This is where the magic happens, I believe. So let me give you guys an example here. I don't know if you guys saw EuroShield, but I'll use EuroShield as an example because this was a really fun one to build. So EuroShield is not something that is typically offered through a supplier. They have a really unique pricing structure. And Leslie and I got together and I said, look, give me kind of an overview of what your pricing structure looks like. They do drop shipping or you can ship to a business and there's all these different weird scenarios that can occur within this. Well, what we did was I took all of the stuff that she gave me, all the documentation. She gave me some invoices. She gave me all of the sell sheets that go along with EuroShield. I fed all of that into Claude. And I said, listen, I need you to make me an XBuild layout, rule set for this specific product. And it built this. So basically, what layouts are is where you're able to say, okay, this is what we do and this is how we do it. And when we write estimates, we want to make sure that this is how they're being written. Okay. So this is a long one. I wrote a lot of stuff because I'm talking about the actual product itself. I'm talking about standard colors, how the colors differentiate based on how, different pieces around it, accessories, accessory calculation rules, freight rules. Here's how the freight works. Here's how this works. Required inputs, estimate calculations, estimate formats, footer notes, special cases, selling points, environmental impact calculations, labor rates. You can put whatever you want to put in there for that specific scenario. I always like to say layouts are more like scenarios. Like so when you're chatting with it, you start a chat, you say, hey, or you're halfway through the chat and the homeowner says, hey, I'd really like to get a EuroShield price. Cool, I need a EuroShield price. The AI knows, hey, now I've got to go back in there and I got to pull from this specific rule set to build that specific estimate in that scenario. And so it could be anything. You can say, hey, if you're writing a scenario in this state, or if you're writing an estimate in this state, use this labor rate, apply these things, use these graphics. Whatever it is that you want to apply, it's going to do to this specific scenario.
And this was fun. This is fun for us because even when we were at IRE, we had a lot of conversations with contractors who said, I have spent so much time fine tuning my process, our margins, how we communicate things, how we price things, how we do things. This is where you get to take that knowledge. And I will say it again and again and again. AI is really only as powerful as what you give it. And so, yes, XBuild, you could drop in the chat and it could produce a general proposal. But if you are looking for something that follows your business practices and your specifics that you have taken years to build and refine, this is where you get to power all of this. And this is, I'm with you, John. It's so exciting to be able to do this.
It's the real secret sauce. We wanted to give you guys the power of AI coupled with the ability to not just build a really cool AI estimate, but you'd be able to build it and then produce it and present it to a homeowner as a deliverable that can then be actionable and cause the sale to close. And so this is another one. This is a cool one. So this one I wrote, I was at an event and the booth next to me was a permanent lighting booth. And I said, hey, let's write some permanent lighting estimates. And so we did the first one just generically off the shelf, off of XBuild, and it was within a few $100s of what his estimate was. And I said, all right, well, let's talk about how we can tune this in a little bit. So I just built this really quick, use this for permanent lighting bids. If you see a transition require running extensions from one part of roof to another, dormers that would take extra time to safely and neatly hide wires, add extra charges. I didn't specify what those charges were, but I could have specified them and said, here's what we charge for this scenario. Here's what we charge for this scenario. Here's what we charge for this scenario. And then when the AI is writing those estimates, if it sees those things happening, it'll start to apply those rule sets. You can do it with trades. You can say, hey, look, yesterday I was with a guy, he does Pella windows. We wrote a Pella window estimate. We came in really close to what his estimates would be, but he said, look, I usually pay this much for Pella windows. I do this, this, and this. This is where I get. I'm like, cool, we can build that into a layout. And then when you're writing a Pella window estimate, that layout will be what the rule set that will be applied to that. So you can do it for literally, it's limitless as to what you want to build within these layouts as to how you want the AI to interact with estimate writing. I'll show you another
And
really cool one.
in doing so, again, when you think about bringing on a new sales rep or refining that sales process, instead of spending all of this time adjusting and adjusting each quote, or even adjusting the form fields in a layout like you might see in other tech, um, this you really get to come in and be empowered here to customize. John
I don't know
gets very
who
excited.
wrote
John gets
this
to
one.
talk to a lot of contractors at a lot of places, and he gets to see all of these cool use cases. So please know you
I'll
can
give you two
you,
more and then I'll be done.
and then and then
And then
we're
I'm
gonna
done. But I'll give you two more because I have two more that are still really applicable today. So this is a cool one. This one I wrote the entire thing. I just went in and built out an entire Spanish layout. So we use this layout
Mhm.
whenever we have a customer that speaks Spanish. So then it generates the estimate in Spanish. All the pieces make sense. Uh, like all the photo annotations are in Spanish. All the pricing is in Spanish. Like all of the line items, everything comes out in Spanish. This one's cool. And then I'm going to show you one other one. This one is
We
probably,
actually had someone pressure test it kind of by accident at IRE. They were from Romania, and they tried
yeah,
talking to speaking, and it worked.
yeah. We've had estimates coming in. We had one a couple weeks ago from Oman,
Hmm.
randomly, and they wrote an estimate. We had one in Australia that came in and saw that. Like we've had stuff from all over the place that's just blowing my mind sometimes. But this one's cool too. This one we use as this one allows you to basically, if you have an existing insurance scope that's been approved and the homeowner wants to apply those funds or at least have the option to apply those funds to the project, it uses this credit or the insurance credit proposal where you upload the RC or the insurance scope and it reads it and says, okay, we're gonna apply the roofing line items to this, puts that in as a credit in your add-ons or your options. And then when the homeowner sees their buying options, they have the ability to then select, do I want to apply these funds to these RCV funds minus deductible to this purchase, or do I want to not apply those funds and just buy this thing out of pocket or finance it or whatever? And it's just a cool way of hybriding insurance and retail together when you're in those scenarios, and now be able to give an insurance proposal the options, present it, and then give the homeowner the option to actually credit this project based on those insurance proceeds. It's just a cool way to, sidestep the deductible conversation. Like they're giving you this much, cool. Do you want to use this towards it? Here's what it costs to buy a roof system. You still have your good, better best. You still have all the options. You still have add-ons. You give the homeowner a whole different buying experience, but with the ability to apply that insurance money to the project itself and not even go down the typical route that most guys like to go down. So just a different use case. So
I see a question here actually, John. Do you see it in the chat? Just in the
let me
component
pull it up
packages.
here.
We'll just answer this one quickly. And then if anyone else has questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We are going to,
Yeah.
I will say this, um, being a part of the Expo team, our developers move fast. fast. And what that means is that sometimes they're ready to ship things, and then we get access to them. And then we go, all right, here it is. And also, we want to be better about educating on these different pieces. So please stay tuned we're going to have some really clear walkthroughs coming. Um, in terms of like very step by step, um this is where you click, this is what you do, just because sometimes that's how people like to learn. Or you can just get in there and play around. But just so you know, some of these things will be coming.
So
But go ahead, John.
let me answer this, Carrie, because I'll tell you how I would handle this. So it knows that it's going to use in this specific component package that specific ice and water shield off the shelf. Like it knows it's going to use a Certainty Winter Guard ice and water shield, and it's $98 a roll. Now, contextually, behind the scenes, the AI actually knows the coverage on those rolls. But if you want to take it a step further and make sure that it does it the way you want it to do it, in your layout, just tell it like, hey, we're going to use this ice and water shield. This is the coverage. We always do 2 rolls, and we always put it on the eaves and the valleys, or we run it up the rakes and we use it on every penetration. That way the AI knows, and they can be like, hey, make sure that the salesperson tells us how many penetrations exist. And then when the AI sockets be like, hey, I can't generate this estimate until you tell me how many penetrations exist, because I need to know that in order to write this ice and water shield estimate. It's kind of wild, but it thinks like a human estimator is going to think. Because if you're an estimator, I've been an estimator several times in my career where I've had to sit in an office and try to decipher things off of photos and off of information that I get and have to make that call in different scenarios. You just got to think through those scenarios and be like, hey, these are the rule sets that we apply. So if I want to say for our material, make sure that we always do this, 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 and this, make sure that these questions are answered so that the estimate comes out perfectly, you can do that. You can literally be able to say, hey, verify how many squares are actually 2-story. This is a big one because 2-story charges are kind of, a lot of the measurement reports don't break it out. And so you're able to then, tell it, hey, make sure that you verify this, or make sure, like there's another one I've seen a rule set where if the salesperson tries to discount it over $500, they have to call and get permission for that or whatever. Like in that way, the AI knows, hey, did you call and get permission for this discount? Cool. Okay, let's move forward. So it's all of these things that are like edge cases, or the way that your company does things, or weird things that you want to make sure that the AI gets right. You got to put that in the layout, put that in as part of your prompt, and it will do that every single time.
I'm going to pop
John
this in here
Irwin,
as well.
why would
Oh,
what you should not, why would be adjusting? I'm curious what you're referring to here.
I will say, if you haven't created an Xfilled account yet, I'm going to drop a link right here. And otherwise, if you do, then I would recommend going in and um, just kind of pressure testing. Go in and just try it out in the chat, because I think part of this is one of the things, and we're going to talk about what's coming up on the roadmap here in a second. But one of the things is that AI and this way of using tools is, it may not be new to you if you've used like ChatGPT or Claude, or something, some kind of AI platform. But it can take a little bit of getting used to. And I will say, John and I both have been a part of teams for I've been a part of teams for other companies, tech companies like this. And John has used the other tools, and they're not inherently bad at all. But the way that technology is shifting is towards this more agentic experience where you really have a lot of control, and it can take some getting used to. And so we just want to acknowledge that and just encourage you to get in there and try it out. But John, do you want to talk about kind of what's coming down the line? I don't have a slide for this or anything, but
Yeah, let's
just
go through that here in a second. Let me answer this real quick, and then we'll move on. But John had a
okay.
good question here about insurance proceeds and UPPA. So let's be clear. We're not talking about adjusting anything here. Using insurance proceeds to complete repairs is what insurance proceeds are there to do. So I'm not really understanding the context here, but that's how those work. We're not violating any UPPA laws or trying to adjust a claim in any way, shape, or form. So we're just using those insurance proceeds to complete the repairs, which is what they're meant to do. So
And on that note, I think talking about insurance and retail, um, many of you probably knew Xbuild as insurance reports. That's what it started as. John, we can probably even stop
yeah,
sharing
we can
screen.
we can talk
There's
about that real quick. So Expo does create Xactimates, which is perfectly fine. There's contractor profiles within Xactimate. It does write. We have an API with Xactimate. So what you could do and what a lot of contractors use Xbuild for is in two different scenarios. It's either typically it's to do what we call a proof of damage report. So if a homeowner's got damage on the roof and they want to have an estimate ready to go, we will actually, like, you can generate an estimate, have the photos and everything. Then it's up to the adjuster to do their job from that point forward. But they're able to produce those within Xbuild. We do actually produce Xactimates, and we write them for both some carriers even and contractors as well. So same platform, just two different outputs. So it's not, we don't adjust claims at all. Like, we don't deal with that side of it, but we do partner and work with some carriers, and they do use our platform on the adjuster side, but we're strictly talking today to contractors. So that's
Mhm.
big part of what Xbuild has done in the past. Now, granted, today we've expanded that to all trades and the ability for you to create what I really like to call true estimates. Xactimate estimates are pretty high level. This is taking it down now to the component level. So saying, okay, this is the cost of the material, this is the cost of the
Mhm.
labor, here's the markup, and here's an estimate that is an actual valid estimate to complete whatever repairs are being done, whether it be in insurance scenarios or just straight up trying to sell a product to a homeowner.
And this is where it
So,
gets exciting
and to be
because
frank, yeah, insurance is
we have two.
is a small segment of the overall market.
Yeah, I would say this is where we get excited. So, kind of brief
Yeah.
timeline and then what's going forward. So, previously insurance reports, and then in December we switched to this agentic experience for insurance. In January, we launched roofing proposals for retail. And those two experiences currently, as John showed at the beginning with the initial kind of dashboard, are two, you click on either depending on what you need. So I would recommend, sometimes we see, people trying to use the retail one for insurance for retail. While it could get close, ideally, as of today, use them separately. That being said, a unified experience is coming where these will be
Mhm.
shared. It will be one experience and you will be able to access this like depth for both. And so that is really exciting for us too, because again, there's like education we're trying to do to help manage these changes for customers who are using Xbuild on a regular basis. We understand that things are moving quickly, but they will be leveling out into kind of more of this like predictable experience. Again, our devs work really, really fast. Fast follows are real. We are listening to your feedback all the time. We have so many conversations every week around people's experiences, what they're running into, and this is where we love that you use it, because then it highlights things that maybe, and again, we work with contractors to build this, but maybe we miss or maybe would be helpful. And our team takes that into consideration. So the unified experience is coming. That's great. John also mentioned all trades. There was a question up top that said, what trades is Expo looking at? And this is like, uh, roofing obviously is where we've gone deep so far. So it
Yeah.
is built so deeply for roofing. Again, you see that with the integrations and things like that. But John, go ahead.
Yeah. So Xbuild can currently you can write estimates across any trade right now. I would consider it way more of a proposal builder um, that's pretty agnostic to trades at this point. What it's done with roofing and what we've really done on the back end is we've put a knowledge set in there that can understand market conditions and understand construction at a high level. Like, I've been testing it with this week alone with HVAC. We've done obviously windows. I've seen a lot of siding stuff going through it. I've seen paint. Um, we did one this week, which was kind of a really interesting use case. It was a PDR. like a car PDR, like paintless dent removal. And I didn't know if it would work. I happened to be with a paintless dent removal guy yesterday at an event. And I said, hey, let's do it. So we put a picture of a hood and it knew that it was a GMC. It counted the dents on it and said, okay, you got this many dents. And then it literally did this entire PDR estimate. And he was like, and if he had given us his numbers, it would have been accurate, but it was pretty close, he said. And he's like, I would have replaced that. It was like $3,000 or something. But
So
either
with
way, it
that,
was like, that's pretty cool. It can do anything, but it's all up to you how you want to use it and how deep you want to feed it. Now, as we start to see the use cases occur, that's when we're going to decide where we want to go deep. So like consider like ABC, like for example, is an integration of ours where you're able to pull your ABC pricing. We've been in talks with some big box stores right now too about bringing in their pricing as well for their pro customers. And then we're like, okay, like if we see a certain trade that seems to be really, really using it a lot, we'll start to build more refined knowledge sets and connect it to those trade suppliers so that they can feed those data sets directly into the platform. We wanted to
so
go
when it comes
wide and then decide where to go deep.
So when it comes down to it, obviously right now you have roofing estimates. Like really truly, you could come in and you could say, I want a roof replacement, estimate for roof replacement, and maybe specify the shingles, maybe not. And you could get pretty far just even with that. What I will say is when it comes to other trades, and as we go deeper, we will provide resources and we will let you know. But this is where again, your input, uh, like good input equates good output. So the more information you can provide on the front end, the better. There might be some clarifying questions, but again, the depth won't be there quite the same as roofing, but it can still generate this output and this proposal. So if you can get in there and have a really good input and a really good prompt and are are open to fine tuning those edits, or you're creating component packages or these layouts, right? Again, this is where the power of your knowledge and your expertise is what our AI can reference to then generate this output. And so that's what I would say when it comes to other trades. Truly, in many respects, it is agnostic. And so it's not necessarily to say it's only for painting or it's only like in the same way that someone came and pressure tested it with a different language. We actually don't know all of the possible languages. We've been pressure testing it with Spanish because that's very applicable to this market. But that's where you kind of get to come in and take the power of your experience and get to use AI as this co-pilot for you. The third thing, so we've talked about the unification of these models, expanding into other trades. John, are we able to talk about the third one?
Yeah, there's a couple other things. So while I'm looking at this real quick, we're also adding another feature to the dashboard here in the next few weeks. Really might be sooner, it'll probably be within very soon. But there's going to be a leaderboard as well, so you'll be able to see
Oh, for
your
sales reps.
velocity and your sales reps, your team, and be able to self manage exactly what they're doing out in the field and see them ranked and like different things. So kind of gamifying it a little bit. I was with a sales rep yesterday. He said he pulled up his leaderboard and he's like, look, I'm number one. And I was like, that's awesome. He goes, this is the only thing that makes you do more sales is I just want to always beat everyone else. And I'm like, that's typical salesperson mindset. And I love it. So we want to put that into here too. There might be an app being developed, but I'll just leave it at that. A little
Maybe
mobile
we'll drop it.
experience to make it easier. Native apps. You can use it on your phone right now currently within the mobile browsers, but
And our team has
that's
worked
been a
really, really
big
hard
piece.
actually to keep that mobile experience in mind when designing. So it does actually, like, depending on your device, it adjusts really nicely. But it's still
It's
currently a
it's
web app.
it's it's just hang in there. And then I don't want to say much about these, but the biggest request that we've got from you guys is the integrations. And so we are working hard up behind the scenes well on figuring out how to dismantle some of these databases so that we can read them. But that's
Mhm.
that's going to be a big piece as well. And then opening up some APIs as well, so that if you've got some custom things that you've built, you want to plug into XBuild, you can still get those data sets the way that you want them. And then the other big thing that's coming too, that I know is coming within the next couple of months, is the ability for it to generate a order and actually order from your supply house directly. And there's also more suppliers coming online too. We're in the middle of MSAs with some of them, but we've actually already built out several of those supplier integrations. They're literally sitting on the shelf ready to go. We're just finishing up the legal connections that have to happen for all those, and legal teams dealing with red lines. So, but it's working, and it's
We're
going to
in
be
your
out very
corner.
soon.
We're
Yes.
trying to look at all the things that the busy work, right? Like that's what we want to get rid of so that you can hit the ground running doing what you do best. And really, I think at the end of the day, the human connection remains important. And so if that's like a part of the magic of you selling, then what can we do to help you enable the parts that are frustrating or time consuming or optimizing those conversion points so that you can do what you do best? That's important to us. Really quickly,
On the
yes,
final thing,
how many tokens does it take to write a custom proposal like these? So currently we have it, it's token based, which is I realize different language than like kind of these legacy tech solutions. Because we are using AI, it processes in a token currency. And so we've currently it's 100 tokens for an insurance report. It's a much larger thing to process with Xactimate in there. For retail, it's 15. That being said, we are going to be moving to a metering system that we will absolutely let you know when that is. And that actually should probably make these more effective. But we'll get to that later.
yeah,
So for now,
I'll kind of
100 for
real high
insurance.
level. Each plan comes with its own token allocation. So
Yeah.
200 tokens, 500 tokens, 1200 tokens. And it also, the higher plan you go, the lower it is cost per token. So for an Xactimate, for example, you'd be $40, $30, $25 per report. For a homeowner proposal, it's like 6 and 4 and like 380 or something. I don't know, something like that. So I can't do math right now, but it's something around those numbers. And that's when you send it to the homeowner or generate the Xactimate files when you get charged that token allocation.
Hmm. And
So
so and then also, yes, like you can see here, if you're a high volume contractor, we obviously want to make this as cost effective as possible. And
right.
so we have a sales team that you could chat with and try to find something that's more of a custom situation for you for that volume. Again, we want to make sure that it's valuable for you and your team to have. So I would say
Cool.
next steps, if you are currently have an account but have not subscribed, next step would go subscribe and get on board and get those tokens and start closing with XBuild. If you are a subscriber and you want to optimize this process more leading into the busy season, get into those layouts, get into those component packages, and start building those now so that when you're onboarding or getting this influx of requests for quotes, you're dialed, you're ready to go. If you do need support, we are firstly going to be building a library of resources. It's in progress, but feel free to just drop it here in the question box just to say, hey, I'd love a little bit of support if you need. Um, and I would say, other than that, John's
I'm
going
going
to
to
be
answer
around at different
Brian's.
shows. Oh, you answer Brian?
I
Sure.
see Brian's question now. I didn't know it was Brian that was asking it, but he asked a little thing. Can this be hooked up with the Levo? I know where you're going. And I like the Levo. Levo's a great
We
product. I
do.
love Gogan,
Yeah.
great friend of mine. So we've been working on something special with the Levo. So
There's always something in motion with John. But thank you so much for joining. Again, we're just really excited to be
and
able to
if you
bring
guys
this
can
to the
guess, I'm
market.
in Philly. So I don't know if you guys know who's in Philly, but there's a big person in Philly, a big manufacturer in Philly that I'm probably meeting with while I'm here. So just
Probably.
leave that one out there.
Thank you so much for joining. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, stay tuned for the next one. We're excited for all that's ahead. We'll talk to you guys soon.
See you guys.